That is the stopper, the tongs are the other piece, but there's different tools that are designed to do exactly what those wedges can do. All right, related to building utilities. So we did cover these quite a while ago, so let's go over those quickly again. What do we want to shut off? Probably gas and electric. Those are the biggies. Water is the other thing. How many people know where your electric panel is in your house? Good. Everybody. Nice. How many people know where your gas petcock is? The one that you will turn 90 degrees. If you don't go outside and look where the meter is, it's right below the meter. Okay, so if you haven't done that yet, do it. Almost everybody. How many people know where the water shutoff is in your home? Okay, almost everybody. But if you don't, find it, okay? And if you have to ask someone. But if you look down in the basement, in a corner, you're most likely to find the recognizable spigot, and you'll see that there'll be a meter on the one side of it. So those are some of the things. We don't tell you to turn off the water routinely, but if the PVC pipe melted, or if we broke through it when we were checking for extension behind the wall and we broke it with a pipe bolt, then yeah, let's not continue to have that let flow. Let's shut the water off. So that one, not always, but sometimes. All right, so controlling utilities can help control fire and limit damage. If you can go into a house, great. If you can't, it's from the outside. Well, we can shut off the gas from outside the house, not inside the house. From your electric, we know how to shut it off inside the house. Outside the house, that's going to be the line person, the energy person, the DTE person is going to do that if it's a defensive operation. So they used to teach us different ways to do it, and it's not that it was hard to do, it was that it was maybe a little bit more dangerous than it could be, just because we don't do it all the time. The people at DTE do it all the time. So a lot of departments said, let them deal with it. So that's fine too. So ICU supervisor will assign you which utilities to control. Most common are gas and electric. Know the location of the control switches and valves and how to shut them off. Water, it's the spigot. On your electric, how you shut yours off? Good.
It's down in the basement, there's a panel, there's a master switch, and then there's switches for each utility.
Okay, what are you gonna do?
Turn the master switch off.
Turn off the main, okay? So the main is the big one at the top. Who has a fuse box as opposed to circuit breakers? Old stuff. No one? Okay. Fuse box, same thing, only you pull it out. Okay, so it's like, you gotta get a little beef behind it and pull it out, because fuses clip in. Okay, so if it is a fuse panel, find the one that says main, pull it out, leave it there, done. Don't mess with all the other things. If it's a circuit panel, much more modern, seems like all of us have those, there's a big one at the top, like a double, sometimes even two, that say main. Those are the ones. Don't mess with the other ones. Okay, good? All right. Don't attempt to turn them back on. No need for us. That's down the road. Situational awareness, building utilities, conditions to observe and communicate. Location of utility services, the status of the power, the damage to utilities, presence and condition of FDCs and or fire suppression systems, presence and condition of standpipes, location of alternative utility sources. So our trucks all have some way to get power from them and cords. So that becomes a plan B. The building has power. How simple is it? Plug right in. But if it doesn't, then use it off the truck, get a cord, lay it out, and go about it that way. Electricity must be disconnected unless the IC orders otherwise. In most cases, I don't know if it must be, but in most cases, yeah. May be left on at larger structures with multiple breaker panels and electrical zones, because we can just stop one zone or area and not the whole building. Structure may be total electric or may only provide lighting. The structure may be totally electric or may only provide lighting. That makes sense to anybody?
I think it means like it could, like, the lights could be electronically controlled and like other parts of the house could be electronically controlled.
Okay, all right. So it could be on like a timer where
Yeah.
certain things happen at certain times. Okay. All right, good. All right, so back of a strip mall. Next time you're at a strip mall, going for Subway or Jimmy John's, drive around the back, okay? And you're gonna see a couple things. Look where the utilities come in, okay? The utility is gonna drop here. It's gonna go down to this conduit, and that becomes the electrical panel for that business. Usually there's an address that they'll write on here with a marker, or they'll put stickers on, P-Touch label maker, something like that. It'll tell you the address, not the name of the business, because the names of the business change, but the address isn't going to change. They'll usually say the address. So if they say shut off the one to Subway, well, I don't want to shut off the one to the place on this side or the place on that side. So if you need an address, get an address. It's probably on your computer terminal in your truck as well. So get the address and make sure you're hitting the right one. And that's just that big, who's seen Frankenstein, 1931? Igor, throw the switch. Yeah, yes, bastard. That, anyone seen that? That's my favorite. That's what that is. You get to throw that big old switch. Cool. It probably has a little plastic twisty on it, maybe even a little lock. Is that going to stop us?
Yeah.
No, no, no. All right, so throw that switch and it's going to say on off. So you're good there. And this is what's inside of places. Okay, that's the outside, this is the inside. There's your main, right there, biggie. Use that one. Pre-int survey should identify location of power connection. Main breaker or meter shutoff is the only way to shut off the power. If power will not shut off, if the main breaker is inaccessible, take no action and contact the electric utility. All right. 99.9% is this. Some people steal electricity. Okay, they have come up with a way to rig it around the meter, because if you don't pay your bill for so long, they shut off your utility at the meter. There are some people who know how to rig around that. So 2 times in my career, we thought the power was off and it wasn't off. So just keep that way in the back of your mind. Someone might be stealing power if it doesn't do as it's supposed to do. Use only the main power shutoff at the meter or breaker box to shut down electricity to the structure. Further actions could result in electrocution and should be left to utility company personnel. And in fire investigation, folks, want to know that, because if that can be a time delay device. I can set up for a fire to start way over there in the building, and there's a couple of wires that are touching, but right now I got the power off. So if I wait until the people come in the morning and turn the power on, then boom, that goes on. So they're going to want to know, what position were these in? And the best answer is I did not touch any of those. I only threw the main. Okay, that's your best answer, and that's the one you should do. That's what this says. Commercial power supply. All right, so that's the one we talked about. That's 2 slides right there. So there's a little lock, and I think this would be, might again, lockout, tag out is where this is headed. All right, so the power should not be shut off until ordered to be shut off. The building may have high voltage or low voltage systems, doesn't matter. Lockout, tag out device for the firefighter with a radio prevents the power from being turned back on. So, in our trucks, we have something called a lockout, tag out device, which basically, we have the lock, which locks that in the off position. So that's gonna stay off, because sometimes someone just coming on to shift, so wait a minute, why is this in the off position? This shouldn't be off. I work on a machine that's powered by this. This should be on, and he's going to turn it on. Right while we're extricating someone's arm from the machine, and he turns it on. Okay, so that's why we do a lockout, tag out, is to make sure that some otherwise good intentioned person doesn't come in here and turn the power back on and mess up what we're doing. So we're the only ones that can do that. And if you don't have that, then that's your next best thing. Put a firefighter there with a radio and let them know that that is their job. Don't let anyone turn the power on to this. Alternative energy sources, so solar panels. Closing a solar panel master switch will shut off power in the structure but not turn off the solar panels. The solar panels are always working. You don't have switches on those. Yep. So here's the big one there. Right now, avoid panels when performing ventilation or any other type of work. Don't mess with them. They are always on. You might find a box, but that doesn't mean you're shutting off the panel. It means you're shutting off where the power goes. All right. Solar panels generate current where there's a light source and are always energized. So even at night, even if there's not a strong sunlight. Wind turbines. Okay, so again, out in those little windmill things that you see out there, provides alternate power or power in addition to what is already provided. They can be turned off at a meter box with a main power shut off. The power line from the wind turbine to the meter will remain energized. That's going to be a power company type of thing. Unless you have these in your first response area, then they might invite you out and show you how they work. Electrical substations. Who knows what an electrical substation is? Okay, some of you. Let me find, so let me go, that's Google too, right? But I want images. So, so I'll let Jay Electrical get out of there. All right, remember seeing these as you drive? They don't have to be anywhere near this big. Give me a small one here somewhere. Yeah, there's a fairly small one. There's a fairly small one. All right, remember seeing these anywhere? Okay, electrical substations. The energy company will give you a class on these things, and basically, they'll tell you that we do not need this substation. If there are no people assigned to work in this substation. Sometimes people stop in, unlock the gate, get in, throw some switches, take some measurements, take some readings, and then they're gone. So do not ever worry about life here. If it's an employee, it's one of ours, and they know how to get out of there very quickly, so don't worry about that. If anything is burning, feel free to let it burn. Okay? Protect the exposures. All right? Lots of energy through there, and energy and water don't mix. So that's usually what they'll tell you. They'll usually tell you a little bit more detail and stuff like that, but the takeaway is anything that's in there, it's not necessary. It's a redundant system. If this whole substation burns down within a matter of a day or two, we can convert all the people who are on that substation to a neighboring substation, and they're going to get their power. So don't worry about it, like you're not saving someone's freezer or electricity, or the person who's on oxygen and only has minutes left on their tank. All right, so. Generators. All right, who's got a portable generator at home? Okay, plug in a couple things. If you have power that goes out, you're good for your big stuff. Good. Who's got a whole house generator at home? Just 2, 3? Okay, 4? All right, whole house generators are getting a lot more common, and they are designed to go through a monthly test, make sure everything works, and then they are designed when the power goes out to click on and power your whole house. But they are engines, they are motors, they need their oil check, they need antifreeze check, they need these maintenance things. So, generators are used when power service is interrupted or could be the sole power source if it's an area that doesn't have power. You might have a cabin somewhere that you have to start the generator to get the whole thing going. Shutting off the generator should control the system. If the generator supplements the power supply, shut off the supply at the meter box. Okay, and this is just there to give additional power. When shutting off utilities, do not assume there is no alternative source of energy present. Always use caution and further local policy for further guidance. So again, look to see if something is still powered when you thought it wasn't supposed to be, and then take corrective actions there. You might do a little detective work, again, to find that person that's stealing the power and stuff like that. Yep. All right, natural gas. So here's a test question. Natural gas is methane in its pure form. Okay, in its pure form, it is colorless and odorless. But we all know what natural gas smells like, right? Because we put an additive in there. So it gives it that very distinct smell. It doesn't smell like bacon. So it's like either these people are cooking bacon or they've got a gas leak. We wanted it to be something totally unique. And so that's where we came up with mercaptan down here, which is the odorant that is added to natural gas. So natural gas is methane, and it's colorless and odorless until we add the mercaptan in the distribution system.
How do you add something to natural gas?
You take the natural gas and you pipe it to where it needs to go. So it's a grid system. It goes like the water. The water comes from Detroit River and it goes to a station. Okay, and then the station cleans it, purifies it, tests it, and sends it out. So the natural gas comes to another substation, and it is tested for pressure, and additives are put in there, mercaptan, to give it the odor, and then it's sent out through the distribution grid. Everyone who gets gas from that distribution plant is added. Okay? So there might be one running, from Detroit this way, that way, the other way, and et cetera. All right. So flammability range of 5 to 15%. So remember we talked about flammable range, explosive range, flammable limits, explosive limits, UELs, LELs. It will have that combustibility zone between 5%, less than that, it is too lean to burn, to 15%. Above that is too rich to burn. So that is the sweet spot for natural gas. Natural gas, non-toxic. Is that true?
I feel like it would be toxic if it's gas.
I think. Hey Siri, is natural gas toxic?
Okay, I found this on the web for its natural gas toxic. Check it out.
All right, carbon monoxide is toxic, which is the result of unburned natural gas. We knew that. This one, looked like it was going to tell you, but okay, wait a minute. Gas leaks change the amount of oxygen available. As you breathe in less oxygen, you may start to develop symptoms. Okay, so headache, dizziness, nausea, eye and throat irritation, fatigue, breathing problems, pale skin, etc. All right, so my thought is if something is getting released in the house that's not supposed to be there, other than oxygen, what's the oxygen doing? Is it getting pushed out so you can't use it? So, yeah, I don't know about that one. Rises and diffuses in the open, so it is slightly lighter than air. So again, remember, what's the term for the weight of something, a gas compared to air?
Buoyancy.
It's a specific term, 2 words. I said keep these 2 terms linked, this one and this one. What we got to do with the weight of a liquid compared to water?
Density.
Vapor compared to gas.
Density.
Vapor density. Okay. Specific gravity, liquid to water. Vapor density, gas to air. Okay. So its vapor density is like 0.9. So remember, if it's less, it floats. So it's going to go up. So like 0.95-ish or 0.96-ish, depending on your textbook, is what natural gas weighs. Slightly lighter than air. Slightly. Okay, here it says it's an asphyxiant. What's an asphyxiant? Takes away oxygen. Right? It strangles you. It cuts off air. So why does it say it's non-toxic when it's flammable and it's an asphyxiant? I don't know if I understand that one. All right, but anyways. So forget about the non-toxic. I just can't see how that makes sense in this scheme.
Probably chemical.
Wouldn't be the first. Natural gas, supply must be shut off at the meter, so here's a freestanding meter out here that he's shutting off, but again, it's a petcock. If it's in line with the pipe, it's open, put your spanner wrench on it and turn it 90 degrees and that shuts it off. If it blocks the pipe, it blocks the flow. Shut off's an inline valve.